Hello, hello, divine people. Welcome and happy Get Woke Wednesdays. If you are new to my channel, hello, how are you, and welcome. If you have been with me, you know that today marks the third segment of a mini-series I started called Marriage and 99 Problems, but Love Ain't One. So if you think that your relationship or marriage could benefit from a little TLC, I suggest that you stay tuned, stay put, because we are going to get real again on real issues that happen within a marriage. If you want to continue to hear on Wednesdays things that will inspire you, uplift you, lend hope and love and joy into your life, I suggest that you hit that subscribe button because you will be notified each time I upload a video, and I don't want you to miss it. So without further ado, right here, right now, let's get real on Damian Slish. So, if you have not watched the very first segment or the very first episode that I did on this segment, I would actually encourage you to definitely watch that, because I list off several items as to common reasons why people get divorced here in America. And one of those items that is ultimately, and in fact that is on a divorce decree, is irreconcilable differences. So that is a big reason, and that's a big thing that people will actually mark when they are getting divorced. And right there on the divorce decree, it says irreconcilable differences. So, irreconcilable differences could be a whole plethora of things. Like, absolutely, there's a lot to it. And while I agree that there are certainly legitimate reasons why somebody would have to have irreconcilable differences, and those irreconcilable differences would, have to end in divorce. I agree with that, absolutely. However, I also believe that we sometimes use that very nonchalantly, very frivolously. Like we will put irreconcilable differences for things that maybe, possibly, perhaps we could actually reconcile with our significant other. So, for instance, when somebody has irreconcilable differences, when it has to do with adultery, cheating, or physical or verbal abuse, those are some items that one would be hard pressed to find blame and shame and guilt or whatnot if somebody is needing to get out of a marriage because of those horrendous issues. Now, in the same token, there are people who have gone through issues like that, and they choose to stay in their marriage and see if things will change, see if they will change for the better. And again, nobody should be pointing a finger at people like that. It is your own personal decision between you and your significant other on whether or not you choose to remain in a situation to see if it'll get better. But when we dig deeper when it comes to irreconcilable differences, I believe that we should absolutely try to exhaust every single avenue, every single thing that could possibly help to get a marriage, get a relationship back on track. Getting a relationship to work. Listen though, not for your spouse, not for your children. I'm talking about for you, for yourself, because you deserve it. So what if, I just want to run something by you. Is it okay if I just kind of run a scenario by you? What if God handed you a crystal ball, and in that crystal ball, you were able to see your life 1 year from now, 5 years from now, or even 10 years from now? In that crystal ball, you can see your life, and you also get to see the journey of your life from today to 1 year, 10 years in the future. And in that crystal ball, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, you are living happily ever after with your spouse. You see that you are in a loving, healthy relationship, and that you are absolutely happy. It's like the feeling when you guys first got married. Would that give you pause, or would it have you a second thought to see what you can do at this moment in order to capture the crystal ball, a happy moment down the line, or a happy marriage, a happy relationship down the line. If you were able to see that you were able to push past all the BS, your spouse pushed past all the BS, and you guys are now happily ever after, would that encourage you to exhaust all avenues of irreconcilable differences? I know from personal experience that when both parties in a marriage lose the ego, lose the pride, and let the other know that, hey, you know what, my ego and my pride, it is not worth losing you. So here's what I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do this, that, and the other, because I'm not gonna let my ego and my pride get in my way. It's not worth it. You are worth more than that. Now, when things kind of change and switch in a marriage, when you guys are trying to work together and dropping your pride, dropping your ego, things begin to change for the better very quickly and very dramatically. And as I mentioned in my prior video, each of our personalities are different. They just are. Even though we have a close relationship, a marriage, or a close relationship with the other person, we all have different personalities. So your spouse is not going to respond in the exact same manner as you respond to certain things. For example, have you ever done something very nice for your spouse, or perhaps you said something to them that really was an uplifting, positive thing to say to them, and they didn't respond in the way that maybe you'd hoped that they would respond? Or, has your spouse ever told you that they don't believe that you are trying hard enough in the marriage, or that you are trying to make the relationship work? And, it will offend you because you know in your heart that you have been trying to make your relationship work and to make your marriage work. Can you recall a time when, you said to your significant other, if you love me, you will do X, Y, and Z? Or likewise, your spouse will say to you, if you love me and if you're trying, then you will do X, Y, and Z. And you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a second, I do love you, and I am trying, and I am doing these things. All of those differences and all of those misunderstandings, I like to call it love lost in translation. Here's what I mean by that. Love is a verb, love is a noun, and love is a language. So we each instinctively know how to speak our version of the language of love. And we know it because this is how we were born, this is how we were raised, this is how we were taught our personal dialect of love. For example, let's take the Hispanic population, the Hispanic community, and now I'm talking about Mexico, Colombia, Puerto Rico, Spain, any Hispanic country. And all of these countries speak Spanish, however, they each have their own dialect. So it's the same language, Spanish, but they each have their own dialect. And in fact, there's some things in Mexico that if a Spanish person said the exact same thing in Mexico, a Mexican person would be offended. Likewise, if there was somebody that was from, Puerto Rico and a Mexican said something in their dialect that does not hold a lot of significance to them personally, it may offend somebody in Puerto Rico, because these are all different dialects of the same language. This is how the love language works as well. If you want to know how to speak fluently your spouse's, your significant other's fluent love language, you first need to learn what it is. Giving your spouse a massage, or purchasing something for them, or giving them a certificate to go get their nails done, it may not hold the same significance as it holds for you. So what happens is, so often in our relationships, we show our spouse love as we know it. We don't show our spouse love as they know it or how they feel it. So don't get me wrong though, because love is absolutely, there are some things that are universally recognized that is love. However, when we are speaking in the context of your marriage, of your personal relationship, each of you has a different dialect in your collective love language and separate dialects. If you have not heard of the book called The 5 Love Languages, I highly recommend that you go pick it up. I mean, you can purchase a hard copy if that's what you prefer, or you can get it on, I know that Amazon Audible has it, because this book, if you've never heard of the 5 Love Languages, this book could be a game changer. It could be a life changer. It can make or break your relationship, and I say that with 100% sincerity. It just gives you a crystal clear understanding of how your spouse may be feeling. You know, and the same feeling that your spouse is having that actually creates so much tension because you don't see why your spouse is feeling this way when you're doing this, that, and the other, your love language, and they're getting upset because they're not getting their love language towards them. But because what we do is we show our spouses the love language that we know. So what needs to happen is, and the book explains this so well, it finds our love languages, and once we know them, we can begin to kind of work on our relationships a whole lot easier. It's like you have a map, a guide inside your spouse's mind and your spouse's heart. So I recommend that you guys read it together, because that is when you will truly get like a very good impact. It's like you guys can talk about it as you're reading it. And I don't necessarily mean together, sitting at the table together reading it. What I mean is starting it at the same time. And then you guys can come together and actually discuss the types of things that you guys are learning from this book. So I promise you guys, this book, it will give you wisdom, like I said, that could potentially save your marriage. Maybe you're actually somebody who has heard of the book before, but you really didn't think that you would get a lot of value or get a lot out of it. I am here to tell you that there's definitely some great value, great wisdom, great information that you would get out of the book. So if you've heard of it before and you were thinking about making the purchase, I highly suggest that you invest in it. I don't think that you would regret it. Okay, you guys, I really hope you got something out of this. If you did, give me a big like, comment, and share, because there's somebody on your friends list or your friends list that needs to hear this message today, so share it. Also, subscribe to my channel. You know it already. Get Woke Wednesdays and Get Fierce Fridays. Hit that subscribe button. You will be notified if you hit the bell each time I upload a video. I don't want you to miss out on anything, so subscribe. Okay, you guys, I will see you in my next video. Bye. Mwah.